Norton Rainey. He's the CEO of ACE Scholarships, a nonprofit K through 12 SGO, that's scholarship granting organization that's been delivering scholarships for 25 years. First of all, Norton, welcome to the show. First of all, let's talk for a second about how ACE Scholarships came to be, because this feels like an expansion that we're talking about now that could be really amazing. But how did ACE Scholarships get off the ground?
Mandy, thanks so much for having me on the show. To everyone, it is an honor to really talk about what we think is one of the most important opportunities our country has seen in a long time, this federal tax credit. Mandy, to your question, ACE was founded 25 years ago by some remarkable business leaders who really wanted a better Denver for low-income children who were being left behind. We knew 25 years ago that children were not being educated, and the premise of ACE was to put them in a private K through 12 school. And we did this through a partial tuition scholarship. And 25 years later, the same thing goes on, and that is that our kids are not being educated. But here's what's really exciting. When you put a kid and you let a parent choose the school that's right for them, we see extraordinary success evidenced by 99% of our kids graduating from high school. They go to college, the trades, the military. They love America, and they're actually improving their communities and our society. And we're doing this for far less money than a traditional public school.
You know, that's the thing people don't understand. We all have this, impression that private schools are always millions and millions of dollars. I'm being sarcastic. But the reality is that most private schools operate on leaner budgets than we have per pupil for the public school system. Their teachers don't get the same kind of benefits on the back end that public school teachers get. But they also tend to have students that are a little more motivated across the board than some public school students. So I want to ask you this. How does this program that the Trump administration is now promoting, that Jared Polis has signed us up for, how does it work? How does that go with what you guys do? Is it similar? Is it the same?
Well, first of all, there's a tremendous misconception. It's one of the biggest myths in the school choice movement that private schools are these elite institutions that are completely out of reach for families. And if you live in Denver, you're probably thinking in terms of a couple elite schools that, yes, are very expensive. But the majority of our schools, the tuition's right around $10,000 per year. So they're actually very affordable. And that's about $6,000 less per child than you would have in a Denver public school, where the cost is staggering these days. So this new program that was created by, I would say, it was signed into law in the big, beautiful bill by President Donald Trump, is historic. It creates a federal tax credit, which in 2027 enables every American to participate by contributing up to $1,700 to a qualified program like ACE Scholarships, or Scholarship Granting Organization, and they can claim a credit when they file their taxes. It's really important to understand the distinction between a deduction and a credit. A deduction would be your traditional donation you make to a charity. A credit is a dollar-for-dollar credit that when you file your taxes, you actually get that money back. So I want to say thank you to leaders in Washington. Thank you to our president, who's now making this possible in all 50 states. But I also would be remiss if I did not thank our governor, Jared Polis. Jared Polis, like you mentioned, he's doing something really cool. He's bucking the trend, and he's saying, I support school choice. In fact, the governor has been a longtime supporter of school choice in Colorado. He's actually written checks to ACE over the years. He started a charter school. So he's always believed in the power of putting kids in the school that's right for them. And we really commend him for saying he intends to opt in as a federal school choice state.
Now, let me ask you this, Norton, because it is my understanding that you can make a donation. And of course, donating to ACE would be amazing. And you guys are helping kids go to good private schools. But can this also be used to support a public school student who may need tutoring or have some additional needs? Is that what I see as well?
Yeah, this program, there is no reason why any governor in the country should be opting out of this program. And the reason why is because what you just said, this program is so robust. It could be a private school. It could be before and after school programs, tutoring services, anything that enhances your education, which means there is money available for our public school system as well. So there's no excuse not to participate. And sadly, we are going to see politicians around the country who will not participate in this program. Usually politicians who are probably being led by the teachers union, the unions do not support this. They feel it's competition. And really what it comes down to, they recognize their schools are failing. And they've been failing this for a long time. And this dates back for decades in our country where we're spending extraordinary amounts of money and we're just not getting the return on investment we should. And honestly, it is our most precious resource, our children. And it all begins with education. An educated child, an educated workplace means that we're going to be better as a country economically.
So let me ask this question, because you just brought up the fact that there are politicians who are against this. And one of the two, I think now both, I believe Michael Bennett has come out against it. But Phil Weiser, one of our candidates for governor on the Democratic primary side, has said this takes money away from public education, which is patently false. The notion that somehow allowing people to make a donation to an organization of their choice that will then grant some kind of scholarship to students, none of this money would have ever gone to the public school system. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it.
That's correct.
So that's an absurd way to demagogue against it. No, go ahead.
No, you nailed it. It absolutely is, Mandy. You are correct. Public school funding will continue to grow. It always grows. Even when school choice programs around the country are implemented, whether it's a state tax credit program or it's a education savings account, the cost to educate a kid continues to rise. And public school funding and also teacher funding has continued to rise over the years. So this will only enhance our system. But more importantly, we live in the greatest country in the world that we allow Americans to choose the home they buy, the car they purchase, the clothing they buy, anything in this country. We are free in this democratic society. This is the one area where you're trapped by your zip code. If you're in a zip code and your child's failing, our system is saying you have no choice, particularly if you're poor. So this program now is giving people a choice, and that means we're going to fill the seats in our private schools. There's going to be more funding for public schools now as well. So once again, there's absolutely no reason why any governor should not be opting into this program.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'm talking to Norton Haney. He's with ACE Scholarships. They provide scholarships to K through 12 students who want to opt out of public schools and go to private schools. You mentioned earlier you guys do a 50% tuition scholarship. Why only 50% when that last, $500 a month may be out of reach for some families in poverty?
Yeah, the average income for our families here in Colorado is right around $60,000 per year. And so these are pretty poor families after taxes. So the fact they want to put their kid in a private school means something is not working out. They want their child to have a better education, and they want them simply to have a life that's greater for them. So our commitment is about $4,000 per year. That means it's not covering the full tuition. And that means the school is going to give them a scholarship. But more importantly, it means the families have skin in the game.
Right.
The average family contribution is about $2,000 per year. Think about that, Mandy. How remarkable is that if you only made $60,000 per year, and who knows what you're making after taxes, and you're contributing $2,000 of your hard-earned money to put your kid in a private school, that means something's not working out well for you. And honestly, that's why our program works really well. It's that three-way partnership between the school, the family, and ACE. And our money is making a big difference. But the sad part, we have thousands of families in the state right now that are applying every year, and they're being left behind. So we're actually not letting every American and every Coloradan experience the American dream. Thankfully, our donors have been very, very generous, and we've got about 5,000 kids on scholarship in Colorado. But we can do a lot more immediately. And long-term with this federal credit, we plan on doing so much more so we can radically change Colorado and make this one of the greatest states in the country. Not just a state that's attracting talent and an educated workforce, but a state that really is delivering on its promise to ensure every child is being educated and they can live in a prosperous society and they can be independent on their own accord.
When can people get this $1,700 tax credit? Does that start January 1st, or can they get it in this year?
Well, it begins in 2027, but in 2026, we'll start collecting pledges. In the meantime, I would encourage people to go to our website at acescholarships.org. And what we want you to do is sign up and express an interest to be involved. And that way we can communicate with you. And when the opportunity is there, we can get you plugged in as a donor. And then we'll facilitate everything to ensure kids go to school. We will make sure that you get your receipts. And then best of all, you will get a refund from the government when you file your taxes.
Amen to that. Norton, Rainey from the ACE Scholarships Group, I appreciate your time today and really appreciate the fact that you've been working so hard to help kids, no matter what their financial circumstances, be able to tap into a great education. I appreciate your time today.